make that relationship, doctor-patient relationship, which I feel like it's not there anymore. It's what I call conveyor belt medicine now. You're just getting passed through the line. I mean, I just thought that, if you just went to work every day and clocked in and clocked out, that didn't really, I guess, tickle my pickle. I've always been an entrepreneur. And when I was 10, my mom brought me a Big Mac for lunch for elementary school, and I sold it for $5. It was 99 cents there, so I made a great 400% profit there. It's a yes. Yeah. Every question is a yes. There's no no's because you're the owner. Everybody eats before you get to eat. And so if that doesn't drive you to be hungry.
Most people master a craft, but never build beyond it. They stay excellent, but confined. Today's guest is Elson Lai, a physician who stepped outside the system and built something scalable. From the operating room to co-founding Skin Laundry and the independent practice partners. He's operating at the intersection of medicine and entrepreneurship. This conversation is about evolution and what happens when you refuse to stay in the lane you were trained in. Welcome to the Alpha Renaissance with Dr. Elson Lai. How's it going?
I'm
Elson?
Doing great.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the invite. I'd love to be in Austin from LA. It's another home since I lived in Dallas for 3 years. So Texas is always a second home to me.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate you coming out here. Like, it's a long flight from LA, especially with all the TSA madness going on.
Yeah.
So happy you made it out safely.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I brought you on the show because you're a very interesting guy. You are an ophthalmologist extraordinaire, and you're also something that's very, very unique when it comes to being a clinician and being a physician. Is you're an entrepreneur.
That's right.
I want to know, how did that even happen? How did that get started?
I think I've always been an entrepreneur. And when I was 10, my mom brought me a Big Mac for lunch for elementary school, and I sold it for $5. It was 99 cents there, so I made a great 400% profit there. I starved for those 3 hours, but the business is really interesting to me. And, I love mixing the medicine part with business. And my dad always told me, MDs can do what MBAs can do, but MBAs can't do what MDs do. And so, I took that to heart, and I really wanted to, medicine is interesting, but I wanted to expand and see what the business side is. And so that's why I got interested in it.
Well, it's being an MD, right? That gives you an incredibly specific niche, right? You do how much percentage of the population, right, have that after their names. But then having that entrepreneurial spirit allows you kind of to take that niche and expand it, right? To kind of think about it out the box, right? In a way that you probably weren't taught in medical school.
Right. When I first came out of residency, I took a first job. 4 months into it, I decided this practice is not for me. I couldn't get a good footing with the owner at that time, and I knew that I couldn't outlive him because he was only 7 years older than me. So I decided, hey, I'm going to build my own practice. And then you had to start learning the business side of owning a practice. And so because I saw 8 patients my first month, I spent most of my time learning how to do the business side. And, I'm 12 years in now, and I understand the business side a lot more than most doctors. And so that's how I kind of created a company that starts helping doctors how to create, their own practice.
Was that right after your training finished that you decided that you wanted to do something entrepreneurial? You wanted to own your practice? Like, where were you when you decided, like, man, this, doing procedures, doing clinic every day is just not what I wanted. I want to help patients. I want to help people, but this is not how I want to do it.
Well, I wanted to help myself first because I was in a terrible practice, and so 4 months into it, I knew it wasn't where I wanted to stay. Obviously, I stayed at that contract for a year, but I was looking for other practices. I interviewed at other practices, and it just didn't fit the kind of, practice I wanted to be at. And
you feel like it was very lateral.
Yeah, everybody, in medicine, it's just like one generation teaches the next generation in the business side, and nothing changes. So you're stuck practicing medicine in the 70s or 80s, and all these, in ophthalmology especially, we have all these toys now, the lasers, the machines that we can take a look in the back of the eye. If you don't upgrade those machines, you're still practicing in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but these machines allow you to increase flow and increase efficiency, but a lot of practices don't want to put that money into it to upgrade their machines. And I was just like, this is probably not for me. So then my mom was like, why don't you just open up your own practice?
So it was that kind of conflict where you were not happy where you were, but you wanted to advance your career. You didn't really know how. You're looking at the landscape and everyone's doing things the way they've been done for 30, 40 years.
Correct.
But you were just trying to figure it out.
Correct. And I had no money, so I decided I moved home. I mean, I moved back to the room that I lived in until I graduated from high school.
So how was that?
It was terrible. Social life wise, it was terrible. It was the worst thing, because it would be like, my mom would call me like, where are you at? I'm like, well, I'm out to dinner. She's like, it's getting late. The best thing is, I mean, my clothes were washed.
Yes.
But I mean, I graduated at 18. I was away for 14 years in San Francisco, Chicago, and Dallas. So nobody, told me what to do, where to go, what time to be home. And now at, 32, I'm back at the same place and I'm being told, hey, you should come home now and all that. But that's just,
it's
parental.
Necessary though.
Yes.
Like I feel I think many people, especially if you're a risk taker, right? You've had a situation where you've had to go back home, and it is the most humbling thing that you'll ever do, because you're, the first 5 minutes, it's like, welcome back. We miss you, son. And then 20 minutes later, it's like, okay, there's a leak in the garage. Can you go fix that? And you're just, you're living back in something that you escaped. You left for a reason. You went out into the world for a reason, and you come back. I mean, did that motivate you, that you were like, okay, this is just, I got to get out of here now?
Well, yeah. Number one, I saved a lot of money. Obviously, no rent. I was able to, thank God they didn't, charge me rent, but I was there for 3 years. But it really didn't motivate me. I got to get my own place. Like, I want to live like how I lived for the last 14 years, So it really motivated me and drove me to like work also odd jobs too. When I was building this practice, I was at Kaiser per diem, I worked 36 hours a week, 3 days a week. So I did 12-hour shifts at a Kaiser that was 70 miles from home. Wow. So I stayed at a Motel 6,
just doing locums kind of thing.
For 2 nights, because I didn't want to drive 140 miles a day. So I would drive out there Tuesday morning, I would stay there Tuesday, Wednesday night, and I drive back late Thursday. And that's how, and then I built my practice Friday to Monday. Even
doing locums and going out to these faraway places, you get some type of insight into, how other practices are ran. Did you see anything that gave you some type of motivation as well to pursue your own?
Yeah, of
business?
Course. I mean, I was at a Kaiser.
Yeah.
I mean, Kaiser's great. No knock on them, but it is, you're being told what to do, how many patients to see, how to do things, what you can or cannot do. And so I saw that side of the practice too. I was in a private practice, like a 2-person ophthalmology practice. I saw that. Brutal. And I saw the Kaiser model. Yeah. I mean, it just, both of them were not for me. They're for people that don't want to deal with the, the BS that comes with HR and all that. But I wanted to do kind of all that. I wanted to be able to control all that, So.
Why do you think that was? Because again, that brain, the clinician, physician brain, is a safe brain when you think about it, right? Like your parents probably told you, go become, go into medicine for this. You'll always have a job. And you'll make good money. And you'll be respected, etc. Right? That's all you have to do is show up. As long as nothing happens to your hands, you'll have a job, right? Recession, war, it doesn't matter, right? Right. But simultaneously, that type of brain is not a risk taker on average, right? What do you think it was about you that you were like, no, I actually want to do this the quote unquote hard way. I want to go. I want to manage HR. I want to manage patients. I want to manage my staff.
I mean, I just thought that if you just went to work every day and clocked in and clocked out, that didn't really, I guess, tickle my pickle. I wanted to learn the business side. In medicine, nobody teaches anything about business. You know, even the people at academic centers right now, they don't know how they're getting paid. They just get a salary.
Yeah.
And then somebody will tell you, hey, this is how much you grossed, and maybe you get a little bonus here. But I wanted to know every dollar. I wanted to be able to say, hey, this is the code I sent the claim in, and this is how much I got paid. So I wanted to know all that. And I think that's maybe a little OCD, you know? I mean, I'm an ophthalmologist. We're very OCD, I think, in the general population.
You work in a very small space.
That's right. And I'm always thinking about the next step, right? When you're operating, you're thinking about, okay, if this happens, what do you got to do to fix that problem, or where do you have to go? And that's what kind of drove me to like thinking, I want to grow something that, number one, I'm proud of, and I just want to be my own boss. I want to be able to say, can I take that vacation? You know, I always joke with my friends when they ask, hey, can you take time off? I always say, let me ask my boss. And I turn my head, and then you know, I'm talking to somebody that's not even there. I'm like, can I take the day off? Yeah, he said okay. Yeah, because it's me. Because I want to be able to do that.
Totally.
You know, and then when you get older, I feel like, you know, if you have family and kids, like you want to be there for them.
Yeah.
Totally. And if you have your own practice, I mean, you could do that, because you could say, okay, they have some baseball game you got to go to. You could block off that schedule. Nobody has to ever tell you no, because it's a yes thing, right? You could do whatever you want, whenever you want. Obviously, building a practice from the first 3 years, it's not for the faint of heart. No. I mean, I thought I was going to die the first year, because I was just like, this is not sustainable.
So you're working at Kaiser, you're doing locums, and then what happens next?
I'm building the practice.
You're building the practice now.
Okay. You know, I'm finding this space. I'm building out this space. I'm getting credentialed. You know, getting the business insurances.
The facility is being credentialed.
That's right.
Yes.
And then finding business insurance, right, for the $400,000 worth of equipment that you just bought. And I bought everything new. You know, I didn't want to just be any other practice. I wanted to be the practice that people came to.
That's interesting. Why did you buy new?
You know, I just like new things. Like I don't like secondhand things. I just, my freak of nature, I guess. You know, even cars, I don't buy used. I like new cars. You know, I want to know I'm the only owner of that car. So, you know, and, you know, if it's new, I know that it's never had issues before. And if there is an issue, it's new, the company's going to replace it. You know, if they lemon it, they lemon it.
Totally.
And so, you know, this is year 13 going in. I haven't had to replace a lot of the things that I bought new. Whereas, as you know, I start practices for other people. They want to buy used.
Oh, typically it's used. I mean, most offices that I've worked in, they just even doing plastics. I mean, it's all old equipment. So I'm really shocked that you actually had the balls to get like new equipment, because I mean, it's not. First off, it's not cheap.
Yeah. I just want patients to come in. I mean, patients aren't. They're very knowledgeable now, right? And they walk in, they can tell.
Totally.
It's a place where they're going to get treated or they're not going to get treated, you know? And I have patients that come in that say, why is it so expensive? And then they go, and people can window shop, right? They go somewhere else. So they go somewhere else. But ultimately, they always come back because they can tell the difference.
Yeah.
You know, the cleanliness is, I'm not saying like, it's the best. If you keep it clean and, I mean, here's a hack. Furniture is expensive, but guess what? Banks like Wells Fargo, they have to change their furniture every 2 years, and somebody will buy it. And so there's a place near me that actually sells secondhand banking furniture, and they look brand new. You know, Herman Miller chairs cost $1,800.
I have a buddy, one of my ski buddies in Aspen, has a house in Aspen. Yeah. How did he make his money? Commercial furniture.
Yeah. $1,800 for Herman
furniture,
right? $1,800 for a Herman Miller chair. This place is selling it for $300 because it's used, but it looks practically brand new. Because I mean, if you go to the bank, you never see somebody sitting in that chair. I mean, they probably sit in that chair like 2 or 3 times a week.
Decoration, more or less. Yeah.
Right. So that's how I saved on that kind of stuff. But machine wise, I did buy brand new because I just wanted the top of the line stuff, and I wanted to make sure that it's where I would take my parents. Right. And that's what I wanted to do. And that's how I built it.
Was there a space in your brain where like you're building this practice, social media is starting to boom, where you wanted a place that was just aesthetically pleasing? Because, people are taking photos, they're doing vlogs, they're doing reviews of everything, right? Did that play a role in the beginning, or?
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, I took that into, consideration when I built it. Even though I hate how doctors get reviewed on Google or Yelp, I think that's great for restaurants, but that's not good for doctors.
Totally.
Most of some of the complaints is like, oh, your front desk didn't know how to check my insurance. Well, as a patient, you should know what kind of insurance you bought. We shouldn't be telling you this is how much you owe. You bought a high deductible plan. That's why we have to collect this money.
Totally.
I mean, so it's a battle.
Tough.
It's a battle.
It's tough.
But our job is to educate the public of that insurance stuff.
I mean, I had a patient. This is to show you like how reviews and perception in medicine and in healthcare are different. Woman came in. She had a rupture, AAA, abdominal aortic aneurysm. Yeah. Came in. We operated on her. I transfused this lady easily, like 20 blood products, right? Somehow she survives. We had great surgeons fix the repair. And she goes up to the ICU. I go and see her like a day or two after. And she was upset with me. And I was like, why? One of her eyelashes was missing because we take the eyelashes. So when I woke her up, it wasn't. It came off, and she was upset about that. And I was like, we just did mass transfusion protocol to save your life. Yeah. And you have this big scar on your belly, and your biggest complaint was you lost
an eyelash,
$50 eyelash.
Yeah. Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. So it's just not. It's a totally different world when it comes to. It's so subjective in terms of the reviewing for doctors, which is not fair.
Yeah, I think it's not fair, and we saved somebody's life, and they're complaining about that. It's just that's comical, to be honest.
Insane.
Yeah.
So you get the practice. This is the first 3 years or so. You're getting this practice off the ground.
Yeah,
and. This is your first real business, so to speak.
It would be second by that time, actually. Okay. So the first one would, about 4 months into my first practice, one of my high school friends, she was working for my business partner at another company. And she said, hey, there's a guy that's wanting to start this other company that is looking for a doctor to kind of collaborate with. And at that time, he was 37, I was 32. And we just had dinner. Like, no business talk, just dinner, getting to know each other. 3-hour dinner. And we didn't talk about business. And just to talk about life in general. And, a month goes by. And I reached out, I reached out back to him and was like, hey, what are you thinking about this? And he said, hey, come out to Asia. Let me show you kind of what we're thinking. So I flew out to Asia. I flew out to Singapore, 3 days. Quick trip.
Singapore. This is a 18, 19-hour flight.
Yeah, 4 hours to Taipei and then another 4.5 to Singapore. And then I was there for 2 or 3 nights and then I flew back to look at this kind of med spa concept that he was already doing there. Had the treatment myself and I was blown away. So they were doing laser facials at that time. And I was blown away by it. Like the feeling you had on your face, I was like, man, this is like a feeling I've never, I felt clean. You could feel like your skin tightening, like right then and there. It was, I couldn't explain it. Right. So I'm like, this is weird. Like, did they just, increase the energy, like make it, put on a show for me? So I ended up, 2 weeks later going out there myself. Just to be a customer.
Just to go.
Wow. Without him. Because I wanted to experience the whole thing myself. Same thing. Exactly the same feeling that I got. It was almost, I was hooked on this treatment.
You kind of wanted to have the experience disassociated from him to see like, okay, if it wasn't, it's just me going.
I was a paying customer kind of thing. Yeah. I wanted to see the concept from, as a client. We don't call it patients because it's a cosmetic, it's a laser facial. So we call it clients. We walk in, how do they check in, all that. The check-in process over there is great. It's like, it's like a meat counter. You see that meat counter all the time, you pull a thing. And then, so basically it would say serving number 72. And then you have the ticket of 72 and you would walk into the treatment room. It was amazing. Like the check-in process, you can't do that here, but at that time, that check-in process was like mind-blowing to me. You
Yeah,
know?
they can do so many different things in Asia, by the way.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
it's just different laws, different expectations.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah.
It works really well. They were doing like 150 facials a day in each location.
So wait, what kind of laser was this?
So they were doing non-abrasive like YAG lasers for facials.
Okay.
You know, and with an IPL treatment too.
Yeah,
and the concept, the combo was amazing. And so I came back, thought about it, wanted to invest. I was like, don't have the money, you know. And then my mom was like, you've been thinking about this. I could tell it's been on your mind. You know, you're trying to build a practice. And she's like, I'll lend you the money to invest in this company. And then flew out the third time.
Great mother, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, were you living with her at the time?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that makes up for it. I mean, you got a mom that's willing to invest with
But she
you.
could tell, like, I was very, like I wanted to, but I knew I probably couldn't. And so I was like, okay. She's like, I'll lend you the money and then you can pay me back. So that's what I did. And then I went out the third time with him, looked at it one more time, and then he came back and he was like, this is what we're going to call it. We're going to call it skin laundry. We're cleaning the skin, right? And then by May of 2024, we opened the first 2 locations. And then Ryan Seacrest did like this shout out on Kiss FM, you know, big LA station out there. And then my phone started blowing up. And then now we have over 60 locations worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah. So COVID obviously kind of stopped the, you know, trajectory of where we wanted to be for about 2 or 3 years. We had to close some locations down. You know, I'm going to be really honest with you. Most companies are not all fluff. You know, I mean, we had to close down locations because of, you know, we just couldn't handle the you know, paying the rent and all that. So we had to downsize, and then now we're out of COVID. We're, you know, pedal to the metal again.
What was that? You know, when you were expanding, everything was going well, and then you get to this point, right? You had this catastrophic event. Never hasn't happened in 100 years.
Yeah.
Right. What did you learn from that?
You know, by that time when COVID hit, I was already I didn't do the day-to-day operations already. We already had like a board of trustees or board of directors. We had a CEO, COO. I already had stepped down from the medical directorship. We had to hire somebody because I wanted to concentrate on my practice and grow my practice. I couldn't do both at the same time.
Because you're still a new clinician, you need to get your hands wet, feet dirty, all of that. Right?
So I simultaneously did skin laundry and I started my own practice kind of in the same year. So I had to like do something. I couldn't do both, you know. Like I was driving 150 miles a day, going from Santa Monica to WeHo to Newport Beach, because those were the 3 locations.
In your own practice.
And my own practice.
Yes, wow.
Right. So, 125, that was 25,000 miles a year.
That's nuts.
Every day. In LA traffic, that was like 4 hours in the car every single day. Then we opened the first location in Flatiron in New York. And by that time, I was like, look, I got to concentrate on my own. Like it was, you know, I'm still living at home. Like I got to get out of that. I had a rut. Like I just felt like I wasn't making money. And so I couldn't get out of the rabbit hole.
But you were expending so much time and energy, but you weren't making money.
That's correct.
You were just, feeling so much angst every day.
That's correct.
I'm sure.
That's correct.
Like, why am I even doing this?
Exactly. I had so much, I had to pay for the equipment, from the loans. Like I had to do all that.
Yeah.
And then when you see 8 patients your first month from your own practice, you're like, this ain't gonna work. Yeah. Like something's got to give. I think I saw 200 new patients the first 6 months. And I was like, whoa, this is not going to happen.
I don't think people understand when you were starting off building a practice as an ophthalmologist, how difficult that is in terms of you're relying on referrals. If you don't have marketing, if you don't have socials, if you don't have billboards, et cetera, et cetera, like you're just hoping somebody has an eye problem and just walks in one day. Yeah. It's not that they're automatically, there's plenty of other ophthalmologists that they can go to. Yeah. So why would they go to you? And you're starting off, you're living with your parents.
Nobody knows who you are because number one, you have no reviews. Number two, they have no idea you're there. I still have patients. This is like year 13 now. I still have patients that, are new patients to me. They're like, man, I've been driving down this street for the last 10 years. I didn't even know you were here. Right?
Crazy.
So so that's how, I mean, if you go back when I first started, I mean, it clicks because they didn't even know you were there. But now I'm seeing, I see 60 to 70 patients a day now. It's a very crazy practice.
It's crazy
now.
practice, yeah. But at that point, you guys are expanding and COVID is happening. You're trying to expand your practice, and then you guys hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
Have to shut down some businesses.
Even medical practice hit roadblock.
Right. How did your ophthalmology practice do during COVID at this time?
So the great thing about having a solo practice at that time with low overhead was I was able to pay my staff during that time because I didn't have an extraordinary salary to give to all my, I know some people that every 2 weeks they got to shell out tons of money.
Oh, yeah.
To just cover overhead. But I didn't have to do that because I only had like 5 employees at that time.
And you were the primary.
I was a primary owner. I didn't take a salary. Yeah. So I just paid them. I had enough nest to be able to cover everybody for the time being until we started ramping up again. I mean, obviously I was still seeing patients, but I didn't have the staff come in. Like I would just go in because as a startup, I knew how to check in patients. I knew how to check insurance. Like I knew everything from the front to the back.
Totally.
Which is what most doctors don't know how to do, And so I was able to survive during that time. And then with Skin Laundry, obviously with the PPP and all that, they were able. But we had to downsize. I mean, we got out of some of the leases because we couldn't handle the.
And I bet that was frustrating because you're like everything is going well, and then all of a sudden things are not going well, and you've been expanding. Yeah. Did you guys feel like you were expanding too fast, or did you feel like it was
by that time
just catastrophic?
By that time, I let the other guys decide. Yeah. I was really concentrating on. So before COVID, about 2017, I actually partnered with 4 other ophthalmologists, and we created a company to start medical practices for people. And that's the second business I guess third if you count my practice, but that's the third business that I started to help doctors become their own practice owners.
Yeah. How many takers did you have for that? Because I feel like hospitals have done an amazing job, by the way, in the last 20 years. A Kaiser, right? A hospital system, they get, a new provider, they get a new surgeon, right? And they say, hey, all you have to do is show up. We'll do everything else. And because you've been training, you've been getting your ass handed to you, like that sounds great. Like that's all I do is show up. But obviously they're doing that because there's a markup, right? And if you don't understand the business, you don't understand that they're getting over. Of course, they're like, once you do the numbers and understand the back end, of course they'll do all of that for you and just show up.
Yeah. So like, I think Kaiser, if I do the math correctly, since I know I do the billing myself, a Kaiser ophthalmology salary is probably around 20 to 25% of the gross collections. So Kaiser's making about 75% off you, So on the contrary, like my overhead is about 32 to 38%. So I'm taking home 62%, whereas they're taking home 25%, so to speak. I mean, we, as a doc, when you're a residency, you're getting paid 50, 60,000 working 80 hours a week. If somebody gives you a contract for 300,000, 350,000, your first contract out, you're gonna be like,
yes,
let's go,
rich.
Yeah,
pop bottles, baby.
That's right. But that's not true. I mean, you're making a lot of money for that. That's why Kaiser had a great profit year, right?
Yeah.
The nurses went on strike because they weren't getting paid, and they knew Kaiser made all this profit the last year. So, we came together because people started asking us, how did you start your own practice? I heard it's impossible to hang up your boots here. And I'm like, no, you could do it.
Saw an opportunity.
Yeah.
There's a need.
There's a need. But we've been brainwashed in residency saying, you got to join these big corporate places. You got to join a Kaiser, and private equity is coming in now. Some of these private equity places will pay an ophthalmologist $500,000, right? It's great.
Great, yeah.
But then, the private guys like myself, I can't compete with those private equity guys, right? So
in terms of you can't compete with them.
If I say I want to hire an associate, I can't pay $500,000. Like I got to make sure they be able to generate some income on their own.
Right.
to make their own income. But because the thought process of new associates now and all that, they see that 500 and they're like, ding, 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 I'm going to go there. You know, prime example, my associate now went to a very highly paid job. She lasted 5 months. Right?
What brought her back?
She couldn't understand that, you know, the optometric world would see. So there's a lot of MD-OD like practices. So the ODs would see the patients and then say, okay, they need surgery of some sort. And then they would pass it to the surgeon. But sometimes the surgeons don't see the patient until they're on the operating table, right? So the OD is making the decision. And to be honest, I'm not comfortable like that if I'm the surgeon. I want to be able to see the patient, make that relationship, doctor-patient relationship, which I feel like it's not there anymore. You know, it's what I call conveyor belt medicine now. You're just getting passed through the line. Whereas I feel like you need to be able to get to know the patient. How's your dog? How was the trip to, you know, Asia? Like, I want to make that connection.
That's lost, man.
You know, that
it's
is
so
lost.
It's so rare to find that interaction where it's just human, where you don't feel like you're on this assembly line.
Yeah, it's a transaction now. You pay your copay, you see the doctor, you leave, they tell you what to do. So she was actually, my associate now is actually the craziest story, right? She was the tech at my first job.
Get out.
Okay, so she went to medical school, residency. Obviously, we kept in touch. I was kind of her mentor, and you know, she matched in ophthalmology. And then she's from LA. Her husband's was in LA. She went to Miami for med school, and then went to Emory for a residency, and then she came back to LA. And I said, I want you to go find a job first. So she found one job, lasted 4 to 5 months there, went to another one, 7 months. So in 12 months, she had 2 jobs already. Then she came to me and said, can I have a job? And I said, I think I can make this work. Right? So now she's with me for 3 years now. She bought into the surgery center, so she's happy. When she bought into the surgery center, she's
gonna do some cases.
She's happy, and she's gonna be, you know, working hard now. And the reason why I think she stayed is because I've been there, you know, and this older generation that's older than me, you know, the ones that are 15, 20 years older than me, they want to milk, you know, they want to squeeze that lemon dry, right? But because I've been there, I don't want to screw her like that. Like I want the next generation to be able to do that. So that's why I started a company with those 5 guys or 4 other guys, is because we want to be able to sell a lifestyle. Not just anybody could start a practice. You can start a practice whenever you want, wherever you want, you know. But we want you to understand the lifestyle of having your own practice. Like we said, you could go on vacation if you want, whenever you want. Like, you don't, it's a yes. Yeah. Every question is a yes. There's no no's because you're the owner.
It's all about just getting the work done, making sure the patients are seen and taken care of. As long as you're doing that, however you choose to live your life, it's up to you.
Yeah. And it's your baby now. It's your baby, right? You're growing equity. And that's the other thing is, if you're an associate or a lot of these places won't let you buy in because they promise you the world, but then when it's time to buy into the practice, they're like, let me check the valuation. Like, they just drag it on, right? They don't, and then they end up, what do they end up doing? They end up like, I don't want to buy in anymore, or just astronomical fee to buy in because, you know, you have to buy into Goodwill and all the equipment and all that. I've heard $1 million buy-ins.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to work to pay that thing off for another 5 to 10 years before you're like a full partner making the actual money, right? So you put in 12 years before you actually truly become a partner.
Man, so many things with that, because like, you know, people tend to follow tracks, right? So, you know, that same person probably has student loans, right? Because if you need to buy in over time, right, you probably may not have the nest egg to just buy in as a lump sum. So they put you on a payment with interest plan. A payment plan to buy in this practice. So you got student loans, payment plan to buy in this practice. You're a partner.
Yeah.
But you're not making any money.
Yeah,
you're not going to make any for any time soon.
You're making it for the other partners.
You're making it for the other guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, we came up with this concept. that we basically helped. We have 40 practices now that we signed. We've been doing this for 7 years now. No, more than 8 years now. And we came to the concept. We're like, hey, let's help these doctors. So the five of us came together, and we decided, hey, let's start. And then at the very beginning, I actually just was looking at the numbers because there was a couple of like Facebook reminders that popped up. They're like, 6 years ago, this is what you wrote. And I just saw 6 years ago, actually, I was in Austin with my partners.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the partners lives in Austin.
Very good.
We were doing some, photo shoots and all that we had 17 practices at that time. This was not 7 years ago, sorry, 2023. So 2023, we had 17 practices. So in the last 3 years, we built 23 practices.
Wow. And are these all ophthalmology?
These are all ophthalmology.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we wanted to concentrate on what we knew,
Totally.
the best.
In life, you're pretty much going to get rich off of what you know best.
That's right.
Like you like try to like go do AI out of nowhere, like you don't know how to code. Like your background as a clinician, you're not going to probably be successful.
Yeah. And then, we keep overhead really low for these people. You have to use technology now. You have to do EMR, practice management systems. Back in the days, practices needed 3 billers circling stuff, paper, and then they would have to type it in. Now you don't have to do that.
Oh, the losses, and the loss would still be high. You still have 10-20% loss that you wouldn't capture.
Because who knows, who cares about your money more than yourself, right? So if you have billers doing it, they don't care. They're hourly. They're just doing their thing, and then they get paid. And if you don't get paid for that claim, I mean, you just lose that claim because they're not working it. Whereas now, with AI and virtual assistants where you don't have to pay that much, they can work those things. And the practice management system, you could see all the claims on there that are being rejected or not rejected.
It's all digitized, so it's not like things are being misread.
Correct.
Or inputted incorrectly.
Correct. And so now, like, because I've been doing my billing for the last, 12, 13 years, like I can see really quickly what's going on. But now, I mean, I rarely get a denied claim. It's, after, 2 or 3 years, you should know what your practice is, how it's churning, and where the denials are coming from. Because, I mean, you've been doing this for 2 or 3 years. You should know kind of the practice pattern now, Like I do ophthalmology now. We do cataract surgery in the office now, right? It's called office-based surgery. So we went from hospital in the 70s. In 79, they went into the ASC, and everybody's been doing ophthalmology cases in the ASC. Now, the last 5 years, people are doing it in the office, right? We don't have to give sedation. It's an 8-minute procedure. It's quick, right?
No anesthesia needed.
No anesthesia needed. Patients aren't like groggy or anything. And that's great for the patient. And you save health insurance's money, because I think, like, once again, we went from this, like, we got to do all these things for the patient, and then, like, we got to treat cataract surgery like they're having open heart surgery. It's not open heart surgery. Yeah. It's because the ASC, they do so many different things. They just said, okay, you're having, plastic surgery, you're getting intubated. This patient's not getting intubated, but because it's too hard for the nurses to figure out who needs what, we're just going to have a one-time thing. Everybody needs a blood draw. Everybody needs an EKG. We're just going to standardize it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's cataract surgery. It's like 8 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that makes it so much easier.
So what do? So now we got to, the healthcare costs goes sky high, and that's why the United States have the highest healthcare, bills. So when we do office-based surgery now, it's just very simple. I forgot where I was going with this, but when we build practices now, we tell clients that, hey, you could do this, and you could build your own surgery center now. Your own surgery center in the office, and you can make income that way too. Yeah. And so, because you got to find different sources now. Totally. Right? Cataract surgery, 11% cut, this was something very interesting. Medicare, CMS, has not looked at codes every year since recently. Why? So every 5 years, they would look at codes and see if they're being abused. Obviously, there is abuse out there. So they look at codes every 5 years and then adjust accordingly. But for the last 3 years, they've cut cataract surgery every single year, right? And so You know, I have to do 7 to 8 cataract surgeries now to make what they made in the 80s and 90s.
Wow. Now people will hear that and they'll think like, well, why should I have sympathy for ophthalmologists?
Right. But the thing is, inflation has gone up, right? Look at gas. Look at, I mean, everything's more expensive, right? I mean, if I have to do 7, 8 cases now, yes, they made a lot of money back in the days. But also medical school is expensive now. People are coming out with $400,000, $500,000 in loans. So you still have to work a lot now. And also, you know, knock on wood, I mean, there's lawsuits. People can sue because they're not happy with certain things. Like, just like you said, my eyelash came out. My eyelash,
but
right? You did the perfect surgery. Everything is great. And then they're not happy. So they're going to go to somebody, a lawyer, and say, hey, I'm not happy with this. You know, that happens.
Totally.
Right?
Pain control. I mean, have a major procedure and upset because you
didn't give enough
didn't
pain.
Understand, like maybe we couldn't give you certain pain medicines because that would kill you. And we were trying to figure out, we were working on it, but people get sued for that as well. So
I mean, they could sue for anything,
yeah.
right? And so it's like we started to practice defensive medicine, and that's not good for society either, And a lot of it is also the private equity world and the Kaisers. They're telling you what to do, but I get to practice.
And the private equity, they have a negotiation with reimbursement as well.
That's correct.
So they're able to negotiate with a lot more leverage than individual office providers.
That's right. But their bottom line is they want to see profit, right? They want to be able to spin it off to the next private equity saying, hey, I'm able to generate this income. Let me just spin it off, And so that's why I love the private, like the solo 1 to 2 practice, because you could really control what you want. You could control how you do practice medicine and you could survive a COVID type stuff because you don't have a big overhead, and and you could be busy. You could build a really boutique practice where we're able to just survive kind of anything that comes our way.
Yeah, and actually serve the patient, right? With that that 101 deep connection, knowing what's going on with their family, their dog. You can't do that with the big box.
That's right.
Therapy. You just can't.
Big boxes, they do Google AdWords. Like, I'll tell you, I haven't spent a dime on advertisement. Every single one of my thing is word of mouth, or I still go out there and go talk to the primary care doctors and seeing how everything's doing. I give them my personal cell phone number, and if they want to call me at 6 p.m., I pick up and I talk to them about their patient that they want. I really make it boutique for both sides, and making sure the patients get taken care of, and that's the bottom line.
I mean, you've been running this, like you basically started running this 2-brain experiment, right? On one hand, you became an investor and co-founder of a retail brand, and then on the other hand, you have this clinical practice that you started. And also, you have this, this other practice where you were helping doctors create their own businesses. Those two a little bit, those two are kind of similar, right? But the retail is completely different. Retail business, clinical practice. How did you justify the two? What was that journey like in understanding retail?
The retail one, I really, leaned on my business partner. Obviously, he's a serial entrepreneur, and he is the type that just continues to grow, right? He's looking at different avenues and what the next big thing could be, So, I really picked his brain. Like I call him my business partner, but he's really a mentor. He at 37, and when I was at 37, it's like night and day. Like at 37 for him, it was like I couldn't even imagine the type of like businesses he's already built. I'm like a freaking small little guppy fish, right? He was already like a shark in the ocean. So I really learned. I pulled a lot of knowledge. I still call him now. I'm 45 now. I think he's 50. He's just turned 50. I mean, I still call him and say, hey, Julian, like, what should I do here? Because I was raising money for this, what we call independent practice partners, that's IPP, which is the helping doctors start their own practice. I was like, hey, this family fund wants to invest. Should I do this? Should I do that? And then he would give me advice on it, you know, and it's more of a, he's a mentor because I really look up to him and I really trust his judgment on things, you know. And so
having
the retail side, he understood that, you know. I mean, when we first started, we would sit at a Starbucks, say, you know, Fashion Island in Newport Beach. We would sit at a coffee shop for 3 hours, and I'm like, why are we sitting at a coffee shop for 3 hours, right? But now I know he wanted to watch the foot traffic, you know, to see when the busiest time was, when it was not busy, right?
For himself, because you can also get a foot traffic study.
That's right.
You can totally do that, and I'm sure he did that as well. But to go there and see it himself,
that's correct. We know from 9 to 1:30, it's busy. From 1:30 to 5, it was not busy, because the moms would come in between when the kids were at school, and then they had to go pick up their kids, and then it would get busy again after work, you know. So we had to adjust our schedules based on that, right? Do we need one nurse? Do we need two nurses? You know, like coffee shops, same thing. Like Starbucks in the morning, there's tons of people working at the morning, right? But if you go during the afternoon, it's probably half the staff, right? So you know, I learned kind of stuff like that from him. So now when I go to these practices that I open for doctors, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for, is it off a big street? Is it easy to find? Where is it in the complex? If I'm driving through a complex, I can't even find it. How is a 70-year-old, you know, patient going to find the same thing if I can't even find that building? So I take all these knowledge stuff from the retail, and then from that retail space, he understood that, you know. So I can't take any credit for that, because I learned a lot from him from when we were opening up practices.
If you didn't have Julian, what do you think you would have gotten wrong? Say if you want to start the business that you started.
You know, I think from the eye standpoint, I think it would be slower growth, just because he was pedal to the metal all the time. And as a doctor, you're still less risk. You're not a risk taker. Like, you still have that hey, let me pull back, let me see, make sure it works, right? And with his mindset, I took that in, and I said, hey, look, like, let's just go. And for the first 5 practices, banks weren't loaning the doctors the money because they didn't know if they were going to get paid back. I mean, even though they have a physician loan at Bank of America, they have these physician loans, you still have to fill out a ton of paperwork, get credit check score. But now banks want to work with us. PNC, you know, Bank of America, I get emails all the time. They're like, hey, let me help you, you know, let me loan you the money, because now they know that, you know, we built so many practices that, hey,
we know what we're doing.
We know what we're doing, and you'll get your money back, right? So at that time, we're just like, hey, let's just fund it ourselves. You know, like the 5 of us, we just put, you know, $1 million total together. We put it in, and then we helped the first 5 practices open on our own dime. And then by the 6th practice, we had Bank of America was like, hey, we'll just give you the money, right? And so now it's much easier now, right? So we could go pedal to the metal now. But also, it's very hard to start because we didn't have any clout, you know, 5 doctors, okay, whatever, like. How do I know? Because risk takers, there's not many risk takers as doctors, because they want that financial stability, right? So it's very hard to convince doctors to do what they do. But now, like I said, we're trying to show a lifestyle. And that lifestyle is, hey, have your own practice. Do what you want to do. Practice the way you want to practice, you know.
Do you think most medical entrepreneurs fail because they don't have some interlocutor to show them the way, someone to be an example like Julian was for you? Why do you think they fail?
I think majority of doctors, they want to be their own boss, right? It's like taking that leap, you know. They're looking down the bridge, they're like, damn, you're bungee jumping, they're like, damn, it's really, really high, you know. Like, I don't want to take this jump, because the stability is the key. They have loans to pay back, you know, if they bought a house, a mortgage, or whatever, they have kids. I was lucky at that time when I started, when I was 33, 34, I didn't have kids, you know, and and I was basically by myself, so I was able to do it on my own, and I didn't have to worry about other people in my life. So I understand the um, the reluctancy of starting your own practice, but also I think doctors also are the worst enemy, right?
Why so?
I think they look at every little detail versus the bigger picture, right? Let's take. I'll give you an example. An EHR, two different EHRs.
What's the EHR?
Oh, electronic health medical records, right? Mm-hmm. Monthly fees. It's $15 more on one versus the other, but the one with $15 is much better, in the sense, the grand scheme of things. So they're thinking about that $15, which is minimal in the big picture, but in the micro world, they're like, yeah, $15. They're like, damn, that's another $15 I have to add on to my expenses, and that's the difference, right? Of them picking one or the other, even though it's $15. It's not $1,500. It's just $15, and they get in their own way. They're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. I want to use this system. I better use this system because I'm going to save, whatever 12 times 15 is, right? They just like, I mean, that's probably $180 they're saving a year. But that's the way the mind thinks. And I'm thinking big picture. Like, you're going to make 3 times more than what you're making at a Kaiser, right? Then if you go out on your own, you can. We know that because all our practices do that.
Yeah.
And so, but I can't convince them of that. They got to convince them themselves.
Yeah, you can't convince them, but like if you're working with them, how do you bridge the gap? Because you're dealing with an individual, you're dealing with medical entrepreneurs. So you're dealing with people that have literally been taught to think small for the past 10, 15 years. Like they literally were taught to think on a cellular level.
Yeah. We once you have that bug in you of wanting to start a practice, it may take you 2 years to come back to it and say, hey, let's start a practice, which has happened.
Yeah.
I never push them to say, you should do it. The thought, once you have once you have a thought of something, you're going to probably it's like, I'm craving fried chicken. You're going to go get fried chicken sometime in that week for sure. You're not going to, you don't think about it. And then like when I want chicken nuggets, I'm going to go get chicken nuggets now. I'm not going to wait 6 months to go get chicken nuggets. So once you let them have a taste of it, so to speak, they're going to want to do it. And that's where most of our clients come. They're like, hey, let's do it. Because what they do is they go and search. They're probably at another job now. It's probably the same outcome as their first job.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, I can't do it anymore.
They think it's green on the other side. And it's just not. I had a good friend of mine. He came on. He's a dentist. And he's a entrepreneur. He has like 20 something dental offices across the Chicagoland area. And Dr. Milad, what he did was create a course because he would become so frustrated working with his staff, primarily the other dentists, because he found them sometimes to be so diametrically opposed to creating revenue, obviously in an ethical way, just because of how they were trained to think. And it was interesting because he's like, once he created the course, it was very helpful. Like he got them on board. He was able to show to widen the horizon and say, hey, actually, not just that. It's not just what's in front of you. It's this big horizon out there, and that's what we need to consider to close.
Yeah, I mean, the mind is really weird when we talk to these physicians about how you could tell how they're thinking just by talking to them, and just like the little details that they nitpick on some of the contract stuff. It's like those are so minuscule from the bigger picture. You have to think you have a 30-year career. Just do the math in that sense. Don't do like one of our machines, is $60,000. Medicare pays $25 every time you use it. How many times you got to use it to make that money? You're not. This is a machine you need to practice ophthalmology. If you don't have this machine, what are you going to do? You're going to send it out to somebody else? Like patients want to stay at one place, And so they're thinking $60,000 for the machine. I'm like, you have to. And then they're like, maybe I'll just go with the cheaper one, which is 25,000, and it breaks down. The first 6 months, it breaks down. So they don't look at the big, but $60,000 on a 30-year career is nothing.
Yes.
Okay, that machine has lasted me 13 years now, brand new. Okay, so 13 divided by 6,000, okay, 5,000 a year or something like that. Okay, it gets better, not bad, right? But they don't think about it that way. They think about it, damn, that thing, I have to pay it right now. It's $60,000 or 12 months interest free. Sometimes they get it, or bank loan, whatever they want to do. But they don't think about it like, hey, I'm going to do a 30-year career. And they don't also think about you're building a practice you can sell later on.
Yes.
They don't think about that part, right? They don't think about the equity they're building for that practice, and they can also sell at the end of the
What do
career.
you think so those thoughts, right? What do you think they are? Do you think that they want to start a practice, they get the bug, but they don't really understand why they want to start their own practice outside of, I want to be my own boss?
I don't think they're scared about being their own boss. I think it's scary that, hey, this is their salary now, and for the next 2 to 3 years, you may drop down to this salary. Because let's face it, entrepreneurs, you're not taking a salary.
No.
Right? Everybody else eats first before you get to eat, right?
You have to pay. That one of the biggest lessons you learn very early on, especially when you have employees or contractors or associates, you have to pay them.
Yeah.
And they don't understand why they're not being paid.
Yeah.
None of your reasons.
Yeah.
None of them are good reasons.
Yeah. Everybody eats before you get to eat. And so if that doesn't drive you to be hungry, and going out to meet PCPs and doing what you need to do, some doctors feel like, oh, I'm a doctor, I don't need to go out there, I'll send somebody else out there, doing my marketing for you. People want to see you. They don't want to see, your office manager talking to them, because nobody cares about your practice more than you. And I keep telling you that. I keep telling the clients that are with us right now, I'm your 13. I don't have to go out and meet PCPs, but guess what? There's going to be another Elson Lai starting their practice, drinking out of my watering hole, and I got to go back to that watering hole telling the PCP, I'm still here, right? Send me your patients. I'll take care of your patients, right? You still got to do that. Like, you can't just stop. And so it's something that you have to kind of ingrain in these newer generational doctors, that you got to if you want to make a name for yourself and you want patients to go to see you, you got to keep doing that. You got to let your community know, the other doctors know, that, hey, you're still around. Like, I still think about you guys. For me, it's Chinese New Year is big in my area. So we always gift them, Chinese New Year, little presents for them. So that's the one thing that I always tell physicians that we signed is, you got to go out there, boots on the ground.
That aspect of it, did you understand that always in terms of relationship building?
No. I thought, hey, I'm gonna get on these insurance plans. I'm gonna have a Yelp page. I'm gonna have a Google page. People start coming to me. There's a reason why I only saw 8 patients my first month. There's a reason. Nobody knew who I was, And then I started going, okay, I'm gonna go see these PCPs. I would go to the same PCP. So here's the other thing. Some people go, I'm gonna go see Dr. Freeman right now. I'll see him once. I leave. You don't send me a patient. They don't go back to you, right? I tell them, you got to keep going back. So so the first week I go back to you, send me patients. And then the second week, send me patients. Third week, you're going to be asking me, why are you here? I was like, because you haven't sent me any patients, right? If you send me patients, I'm not going to come every week to bother you. Yeah. Guess what? They started sending me patients.
So it was just showing up
every day, every week, basically, to the point where I almost annoyed the doc, right? They're like, why are you here? I'm like, because I have no patients to see. Yeah. And I need to keep making my rounds. And now I have, like, from last count, I probably have 40 PCPs that refer to me on a consistent basis. And so that's how I've generated the referral basis.
And then what do you do to maintain those relationships? Because it's easier now to say, okay, I got the relationships. They still refer to me. Yeah. Like, did it stop?
No, it doesn't.
Communication with them stop?
I mean, I still fax notes, obviously. I will send goodies time to time. And then I'll make one every year. I'll make, like I said, the Chinese New Year, I'll make deliveries myself. you know. And so yeah, that's how I still continue the relationship with the referring sources.
Absolutely.
So, you know.
Well, with skin laundry is one I'm really curious about, because it's because you guys have like dermatological products as well. You're an ophthalmologist. Like, how did you bridge the gap with that? Was it completely foreign? Even retail is foreign for you. The product is actually foreign. The service is foreign.
So we use lasers in the eyeballs, you know, in a microscopic level. I mean, how hard is it to laser a face? I mean, it's macroscopic, right? But you build a team, you know. Let's be honest. So with any company, to be honest, it's not about me. It's about the people that you surround yourself with, and they're the ones that drive the company. You know, without my staff, I'm not able to see 60, 70 patients. You know, and even at my own practice, my staff, I take care of them. You know, and with turnovers now, people will leave for $1, right, to the next practice.
Yeah.
And you want to keep those people. Like, how do you keep them? Like small practices, you don't have to give health insurance. You don't have to give, you know, I mean, California now you have to give like kind of 401k type stuff.
Really?
For my employees.
For your employees.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I do that now because I want retention, right? And so if my staff is happy, then the practice runs smoothly, and I don't have to have turnover where people are just, I got to train new people, then I got to, you know, slow down the clinic. And so everybody knows their job. And the other thing I do is if somebody calls out sick, right? My staff kind of knows, everybody kind of knows how to do everything. If my one staff calls out sick, like that salary for that employee that day, I split it amongst the other people.
Oh, wow.
So they're not being like, oh, we got 70 patients, there's only 5 of us now instead of 6 of us. Well, those 5 get the employee's salary, or that day's salary, split amongst them, right? So nobody's ever like, oh, I gotta see more patients because this employee didn't step up. You know, nobody complains, and that's what I do. You know, most people probably don't do that. You're sick, okay, well, we just got to handle it. But I really want to take care of, you know. And with the same thing with skin laundry, like we're able to build a team with dermatologists. You know, we have a chief medical officer. You know, she's in Florida. She's dermatology trained. And with the products, same thing. The dermatologists are the ones that formulate, right? Remember, we're skin laundry. I'm not the doctor. I'm the entrepreneur here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. We're in a totally different hat.
Yeah. I'm not trying to pretend I'm a dermatologist. I'm not. So we have, you know, dermatology people on staff. You know.
Yeah, I would imagine there would be some people have apprehension in going into,
correct.
You know, a service or investing or being involved, right, into a product that they're not trained in. But you were able to navigate that by saying, okay, well, actually, I'll look at this differently. I'll put on a different hat. I'm not going to put on a dermatology hat that I don't own. I'll put on an entrepreneur hat.
And also, we have to think about it. Our menu is not huge, right? I'm not saying we do this, and this. We had 1 treatment, basically. We had 2 treatments, right? We called it the dry bar or facials. You know, dry bar, they only do blowouts. They don't cut.
Yeah.
They just give you different type of curls and all that.
Which I didn't. When I found out about that retail business, I was like, this is genius.
Yeah. Allie Webb, who's the founder of that, genius. Like and then she sold curlers and at Sephora, right?
Yeah.
Genius.
We have them at the house.
Yeah. Genius, right? And so
not for me.
But I mean, it's genius, right? If you're good at one thing, you could do it. And so yes, at the beginning it's very like, oh, what kind of doctor are you? I always got asked that question. But the thing is, I freaking laser eyes, right? I mean, how hard is it? I mean, I'm lasering your eye for vision correction, which is much harder than lasering your face to stimulate the collagen and cleaning your face, right? And so, but then the product line and all that, really, really cool concept. I learned a lot from that stuff too. You know, the formulations, the packaging, like all that. It's
foreign to, but must have been super foreign to you because, again, you dedicated your life to the eyeball, right? And to go into a business where you're starting off as a novice again, first off, for your ego, I'm sure that was like, okay, a hit. And like you literally had to increase your knowledge base. How did you do that?
I mean, you have to read, and also Julian, he had the knowledge of that. He basically, it's almost like he took me under his wings, and then like knowing how the bottles are made, like the packaging, like, I mean, really that guy's brain is on like a whole different level, you know. It's not, you feel like, oh, this is just, and he just understands how to get things done, you know. And I mean, the renditions of the bottling is like crazy. We went through different, you know, renditions of how to bottle some stuff. You know, I still use the moisturizer, you know, that Skin Laundry makes, because I actually love the feel of it. You know, the face mask.
Yeah, your skin looks great, by the way. I mean, if this is a promo for
it's
Skin
the lighting,
Laundry,
it's the lighting. It's the lighting.
this is a promo for Skin Laundry. You guys are doing well.
You have great face. Yeah, your face is clean too. It's
I gotta get the laser.
But so we, you know, the way that, like, you know, we tested it on people. Like my mom was like, man, this is the best face mask that I've used, right? Like some materials are cheap, like the actual face mask you put on. Yeah. You know, and then the there's maybe not enough like goop in there to kind of spread it around. Like there's extra goop in there where you can like kind of put it on your neck and all that. Yeah. Like my mom was like,
you don't
the
have
one
to use like a toner or moisturizer to help spread.
Yeah, like this is like there's stuff all in there, you know. And I gave it to my mom. My mom was like, this is one of the best face masks that I've used, you know. And that tells you a lot. I mean, my mom was gonna lie to me and be like, hey, this is BS, like, you know. But that's how we did the R&D, you know. But really Julian was the one driving it. I think I was mostly there for the medical side of it, and he really drove the front office and like the retail side of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think, and that was the lesson, right? You had to like relinquish control, right? You know, and going into a space where you didn't know, you were a novice all over again after you've been a proven expert. Just had to relinquish control and put yourself around the right people, a good team, and just trust the process.
It's like an octopus, right? You got the head, but every leg is good at something, right? I was good getting the medical stuff done. He was good at doing this. There's people who do good at operations, you know. People who, you know, are few first employees were like, hey, this is the outfits that the employees are going to wear, and this is how, like, I couldn't do that. I mean, I didn't even have that, you know. Like when we went into the first 2 stores, I was like, wow, this is freaking incredible. But now, like, the stores are even crazier now. Like, wow, this is beautiful. It's kind of like Starbucks, you know. They've changed their way the look now, right?
And it just seems like it's always been like that. Even when I was looking at the speaking of Starbucks, I was looking at their logo, and I was like, wait a second, this didn't used to be the logo. Like they changed the logo, but it feels like it's always been like that because the process has been so streamlined. And experience, it's great. It's a great experience.
Yeah, the barista type of feel now, the look, kind of like
totally.
This area, like,
that wasn't
you know,
there.
And I love the new look now. You know, and so but yeah, it's just like we've evolved too. You know, Skin Laundry's initial logo is not how it was now. You know, like you look at, you know, I was like, why did we go with this just block letters black? Right? I wasn't there for those decisions because, you know, at that time I was already kind of building my own thing. It's because, like, you know, look at YSL, right?
Yes.
Yves Saint Laurent. They changed their logo. What are they? They're Saint Laurent now. They left out the Y, right? And you got to think about why, right? They're a successful brand. Why did they change that?
Why did they change? Why are they eager to change? Why are they even thinking about change? They're already successful. They've been successful for decades. But
they wanted to change that simplicity because nobody knew how to say Yves Saint Laurent, right? They always said YSL. So now it's just Saint Laurent, you know. So I guess I don't know that part, but, you know, we kind of looked at that. Simple is better. And they're just block letters, right? They're just Saint Laurent now with black letters. And we kind of went with that look now too.
Got to go with the trends.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to, any other wisdom you want to impart on us about your journey, or, you know, how to think about things? Any advice you have for people that the younger you?
Just surround yourself with people, you know. I mean, I think like networking, meeting you, like, you know, and then having Yin, you know, introduce us, like, you know, we didn't know each other.
Yin was amazing.
They knew
each other.
I went to college with her, and she's amazing, and, you know, we've always kept in touch. I mean, it's been like, you know, almost 30 years since I, you know, probably last saw her 30 years ago, but you know, it feels like yesterday that we were talking.
That's the great thing about the digital age is that I feel like I know what's going on with people, even if I haven't talked to them in years. That's one of the very positives about it, for sure.
Yeah, and it's really not about me. Like you got to really surround yourself with people, and and meeting new people, always new, and then you can always network. You know, now we have each other's contacts. We can always like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know everything, and I hope I don't know everything, and I learn every day. You know, I wake up early, 5:30. I read a lot about stocks and different companies out there, and you got to learn from other companies, you know, and see what there is. But most importantly, it's the people you surround yourself with, and you know, that can operate and execute, you know. And then, you know, it may make me look good, but I'm really not the, you know, I'm not the spearhead of any of these things. I really I'm very appreciative of the people that are surrounded. So that's what I would say. Like, just have the guts to do it, but just surround yourself. You don't have to do everything, right? You got to have people around you to help you. Otherwise, you know, if you try to micromanage, you're never going to be able to scale.
No. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around. I truly believe that. I think it's very true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I feel like we Zoom. I told you, I was like, I have all these questions to ask you, but I mean, you were just, man, perfect, man. I learned a lot. Actually, you actually answered questions for me that I had. So thanks again.
No,
appreciate having you. You're going to have to come back.
Yeah. Thank you so much.